Who you are or who you are becoming, what matters, you are filled with love and grace. You are here, you are whole, you are seen, you are heard. You're the only one like you in the world, and you belong, you belong. We belong. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אמותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן ישענו, אתה הוא לדור ודור, לדור ודור. צור חיינו מגן ישענו, אתה הוא לדור ודור, לדור ודור.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are so glad to share in our service with you this week as we start a new book of Torah, Leviticus or Vayikra, focused on the sacrificial rites of the tabernacle and temple. We are reminded once again of our responsibility to offer atonement for our transgressions. knowing that our world is in disarray and that we are far from perfect? How do we find hope and uplift and the prospect of Shabbos peace? The 20th century American theologian Reinhold Niebuhr offers us perspective. Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we must be saved by hope. Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we must be saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or our foe as from our standpoint. Therefore, we must be saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness. Hope, faith, love, and forgiveness, these are essential ingredients to a full life. So as we welcome Shabbat with song, I invite you to open your heart and consider how each of these informs your life. It's my pleasure now to invite Ann Weiner to start her video and turn to page 3 with the rest of us as we get ready to kindle our Sabbath lights. Really?
You got part of the Weiners there. It's getting it in the right spot. Yeah, although we don't have the candles. Wait a minute, Brett. Oh, come here. Let's move it over. Yeah. Oh, there's the candles. I guess this is always a adventure on Zoom. Oh, can you bring my papers? Sorry. Yes. And time's a wasting. O source of light and truth, creator of eternal law of goodness, help us find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Blessed are all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Watch that plate. Wow. Oh. Okay, you ready?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Braxton. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Amen.
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 Mommy.
Please join me in Kiddush on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzoni nechilanu, zikaron le'maaseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta, yotanu kidasha, mikol amim, v'shabbat kodeshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim. We continue now on page 12 as we welcome Shabbat with song from the Psalms of Kabbalat. Shabbat from Psalm 95, L'chuner Anina.
Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. L'chuner anina l'Adonai, nariya l'tzor yishenu, nekadma fanav b'toda, bismirot nariya lo, bismirot nariya lo. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Please join us on page 22 with Mizmor Shir, top of the page. Mizmor Shir liyom haShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, tov lehodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon, uzamer l'shimcha elyon, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, אמונתך בלילות, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, אמונתך בלילות, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, אמונתך בלילות, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, אמונתך בלילות, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
We turn now to page 20, turn back 2 pages to page 20 as we make ready to welcome the Sabbath bride, as we all sing together Lecha Dodi. We'll sing verses 1 and 2, 5 and 9, and when we reach verse 9, Bo'iva Shalom, we invite you all to rise physically or spiritually or a combination thereof. As we say every week, you are in your own mikdash ma'at, your own little sacred sanctuary space at home or wherever you are. So make it special, make it holy, and join us as our hearts and our spirits rise while we sing Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shama v'zachor v'dibur echad yishmianu, el miyuchad Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechol v'necha, yimekor chaverecha merosh nikerem, nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Itareri ki ba'orech, kuni ori shidaberi k'vod Adonai alayich nikla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela.
invite you all to turn on your cameras if you feel comfortable, and mute yourselves for just a few moments so we can all wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. We're so glad you're all
Shabbat
here.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Wonderful to see you
Shalom.
all.
Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. There you are.
Shalom.
Shabbat
There
Shalom.
you are. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Go ahead.
Here, say hello.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Brindley. On page 26, we continue with the Chatzi Kaddish as we remain standing through the Shema.
Yitkadav Shemei Rabba Amen. Belma divrach irtei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayerecho Beit Yisrael. Bakala bakala uvizman kariv v'meru. Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam u'lamei amaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitpar v'yitshoma v'yitnaseh V'yithadar v'yithaleh V'yithala Shemei Kurusha B'richut Leila min kol birchata V'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Tamiran v'yama v'meru. Amen. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
We can continue together on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim uvitvuna mishanei itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakira kirtzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Imloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. Together on page 32. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. Please join me on page 36 with V'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאת ידכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue on page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני כל ישראל.
Amen. On the top of page 43, we read together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai hapurei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם,
We rise for the tefillah on page 46.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yadi tehilatecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, Eloyon, Komel Chasadim Tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zocher chastei avot v'imahot, u'mevii geula livnei v'neihem, shemo v'ahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah rav le'hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, mechakel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, U'midor melech memit u'mechayeh, u'motzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lachayot hakol, baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha selah, baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated. On page 55 on the top, we read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. On page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. A prayer of thanksgiving not in our prayer books. The words of Ruth Bryn remind us that it is often in the moments of turmoil, when the world doesn't seem to be quite what it should be, that we are most obligated by our tradition to find a way to give thanks, to appreciate what is ours, what is good, to cherish the possibility of what is yet to be. She writes, "For the blessings which you lavish upon us in forest and sea, in mountain and meadow and rain and sun, we thank you. For the blessings you implant within us, joy and peace, meditation and laughter, we are grateful to you. For the blessings of friendship and love, of family and community, for the blessings we ask of you and those we cannot ask, for the blessings you bestow upon us openly and those you give us in secret, For all these blessings, O ruler of the universe, we thank you and are grateful to you. For the blessings we recognize and those we fail to recognize, for the blessings of our tradition, for the blessings of return and forgiveness, of memory, of vision, and of hope. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'el hodot. Eternal God, whose nature is goodness, for all your gifts, we give you thanks and praise. We turn now to page 61 as we share in Birkat Shalom, our prayer for peace together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael. Bashalom.
Having prayed for peace in our world, we think of those who face the future not fully whole, those who are in need of healing of mind, of body, and of spirit, those who have been impacted by COVID-19. We see their names on the screen now that are in our community or connected to our community, as we think of them and all those who are in our hearts. We join together in our prayer for healing. El na refana la. God, please heal us.
Please take a moment for your own silent prayers. Adonai Tzuri v'Gali, Adonai Tzuri v'Gali. My God, my rock and my redeemer, Adonai Tzuri v'Gali. My heart opens for you, my lips pray to you. Please, please shine through. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi, Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi, v'egyon libi lefanecha, Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi.
According to tradition, when a child begins their official Jewish studies, they begin with the book of Vayikra, because according to Leviticus Rabbah, Rav Asi felt that the sacrifices explained in Leviticus are pure. So the pure, aka small children, should begin their studies with what is pure. To me, this sounds pedagogically unsound. I like the tradition of honey on the Hebrew letters as children begin their studies of Aleph Bet. Learning should be sweet. So why not begin with the rich narratives of Genesis or Exodus instead of the sacrificial laws for the tabernacle and temple? Nevertheless, this is the tradition, and it begs us to consider why the rabbis, especially Rav Asi, felt that learning about the sacrificial system was so essential right from the start. The ancient rituals of sacrifice laid out in this third book of Torah, which we began reading this week, required the Israelites to offer up various animals and grains to God through the high priests. Some portions of the offerings were burnt, others were eaten by the Levites and Kohanim. Some offerings, like the Olah, burnt offering, or the Zevach Shlamim, the sacrifice of well-being, were voluntary. Others, like the Chatat, sin offering, or the Asham, penalty offering, were obligatory. But each offering served a particular spiritual purpose, not unlike the different prayers and rituals of modern Jewish sanctuary practice, words and rituals that have evolved over the centuries to take the place of those ancient sacrificial rites. There are 9 different Torah portions in Vayikra, or 7 on the years like this one when several are combined into double portions. And generally, though we are of course able to find meaning in each section of Torah, we make our way through, yearning for the intense dramas of Genesis and Exodus, looking forward to the book of Bamidbar, of Numbers, when the text becomes more narrative in nature again. But tonight, I'd like to make a case for Vayikra and the purpose behind each kind of offering. We may no longer offer up animals, oils, and grains to God, but the ritual of giving thanks for blessings and owning transgressions with intention, purpose, and action are at the heart of our quest to become more aware of who we are and where we are in this moment in time, while inspiring us to do what is in our power to improve ourselves and our world. The voluntary offering that is most compelling to me is the Zevach Shlamim, the sacrifice of wholeness or well-being, an offering given when all feels right in the world. But the sin offering that is most compelling to me is the Chatat, or the offering made after one unintentionally sins. Chatat may sound familiar to you. We hear it often in a different form again and again as part of our Yom Kippur liturgy, as the cantor chants, Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, many, many, many times. And while we intone long lists of transgressions for which we feel we bear no responsibility, this idea of intentionality remains, meaning knowingly or not, we have committed sins. This concept for me is at the core of what Yom Kippur is about, and is also at the center of my desire to be more self-aware and therefore less often unkind or at least distracted in my life. Because I believe most of the time, the sins we commit are done unknowingly, not with malice, not to be mean or spiteful, but because we're careless and often self-absorbed. God understands this and gives us instructions for the chatat, or sin offering, an obligatory sacrifice offered to expiate or purify oneself from unintentional sin. Why does Torah require us to make a sin offering for mistakes we've made rather than just apologize? Because more often than not, sorry isn't good enough. In the context of our parsha, we're talking about generally small, careless sins that could include, in our modern context, things we say offhandedly to be funny, leaving people out, not returning calls or texts or emails, forgetting about plans, not completing our chores at home or work, cutting people in line. Small, seemingly harmless micro-transgressions that build up over time. As Nachmanides, the 12th century Spanish scholar, explains, sin offerings are needed to atone for deeds that were committed b'shugag, inadvertently. He writes, even though they were unintentional, such deeds blemish the soul and require that it be purified. For if the sinner had sincerely regarded them with a proper gravity, the violations would not have occurred. Each of these mini transgressions may seem insignificant on their own, but they show a lack of care in how one interacts with others. And over time, these mini transgressions, or we might say in 21st century language, microaggressions, become embedded in who we are and how we view the world. Such acts not only harm those who have experienced our carelessness, but over time they also harm the transgressor. Relationships, reputation, sense of self, they're all worn down, tarnished, blemished by such inadvertent sins. I've been thinking about this a lot as we make our way through our Courageous Conversations series and while I read Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. So much of how we look out at the world is baked into who we are. There are societal norms we inherit. We don't even realize it. And worse, when we do, we're reluctant to own it. So much of the discrimination, inequality, violence against racial and ethnic minorities, anyone not considered white, against LGBTQ folks, against women. It's so insidious. We only notice the big stuff, not the small stuff. But the only way to make a cultural change and gain expiation for our sins is to commit to noticing and calling out the many transgressions of our friends and neighbors, but most importantly, owning the many transgressions of our own. The news out of Atlanta on Wednesday of 8 people murdered at 3 spas, 6 of them women of Asian descent, reminds us of this ugly truth. We cannot ignore the fact that anti-Asian policies and violence are as much a part of American history as anti-Semitism and, of course, racism towards Black people. And while the murder suspect told the police that he had a sexual addiction and had carried out the shootings at the massage parlors to eliminate his temptation, the uptick in hate crimes directed at the Asian American community in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic and its Chinese origins, and an increase in what experts are calling male supremacy terrorism, tells another story and should remind us how unchecked mini transgressions and microaggressions all too often lead to tragedy and disaster as well. It's been such a challenging year for all of us, for some absolutely tragic. And when we're stressed or lonely or overwhelmed, we're much more likely to commit microtransgressions and not even care. And as they start to feel less and less significant, they actually become more and more significant. Our souls become blemished. We start to lose a sense of who we are and what we want to be in the world. So this is why I am so taken with the chatat offering and God's calling out the inadvertent or micro transgression. The ritual involved in the chatat offering is extensive. It involves slaughtering a bull, using its blood and its entrails, and eventually burning all the remains outside the camp. It would have been an expensive, time-consuming, and very messy ritual. God understood how dangerous inadvertent transgressions can be. For when we are careless with our words and deeds and actions and immune to the transgressions of others, we eventually become numb to who we are and what we could be. We lose sight of our potential for good, and we also lose track of just how easy it is to cause harm and spread hate as well. Tonight, though our hearts are broken for the families who lost loved ones in Atlanta, and we know that there is very little we can do for them specifically, it doesn't mean that we're powerless. We're able to share our condolences and support for Asian friends. We're able to speak out against extremism and bigotry and xenophobia and speak up for religious tolerance and coexistence. We can show up tomorrow evening at Main Plaza at 6 p.m. for a Stop Asian Hate Vigil and join others to demand an end to violence. And we can take time to look within and think about what inadvertent transgressions we may have committed. We do not need to wait for Yom Kippur to make amends. The more aware we are of our actions and behaviors, the more able we are to make more thoughtful choices about what we say and how we act. So tonight, and for all the weeks we read Vayikra, I challenge us all to read our sacrificial text with open eyes. How can we make their intent real today and fulfill our obligation to acknowledge our inadvertent transgressions, and through our words and deeds, create a culture of expiation and healing for us all? Amen.
Amen. Yasher Koch. We continue with Aleinu on page 283, and if you are able, I invite you to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. As we turn to our memorial meditation on page 288, we note with sadness the death of Gerald Hurst, grandfather of Merrill and Neely Cassanoff. We also think of the 8 people who lost their lives in the Atlanta area this week due to racism, xenophobia, and sexism. Page 288, a poem by Merritt Malloy. When I die, give what's left of me to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Ann Gelfand Aaron, Adele Aronson, Jeanette Abramson, Nanette Ackerman, Dennis Alter, Lissel Appel, Betty Blum August, Jerry Basile, Howard Baskin, Regina Belasco, Perla Beret, Sally F. Burler, Betty Burns, Barbara Boriarski, Jordan Bradfield, Edgar Gerhardt Max Ernst Brandt, Harold Cohen, Sarah Cohen, Richard Courtney, Roland Kroom, Susan DePere, Ima Edrington, Noble Evans, Frank Falkstein, Adele Fine, Dr. Charles Feldstone, Mamie Finkelstein, Marion Fish, Yetta Michelson Forgotston, Clarence Solomon Freeman, Rose Friedberg, Saul R. Gale, Sammy Jo Gilraith, Irving Green, Sadie Grome, Joe Guggenheim, Jean Halstead, Shirley Halpern, Frank Hardy, Milton Bernard Hendler, Barbara Hockman, Helen Howard, Joseph Janko, Burton Collefson, Benjamin A. Kowalski, Pamela Kramer, Stella Levison, Catherine Margolis, Pamela Meyer, Rose Miller, Pauline F. Newmark, Ted Nye, Violet Power, Irving Ratner, Juanita Ream, Leah Ricklin, Max Rosenman, Larry Joseph Saknowitz, Sophie Saltzman, Sandy Sandalowski, Mary Arbetter Sharlach, Yetta Shribman, Esther K. Schur, Aaron Shadanoff, Abe Stern, Isidore Strauss, Pearl Unger, Sally Vogel, Margie Waymeyer, Naomi Jurgen, and Florence Zimmerman. To these names, we add those who died this past month, whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. Remember Seymour Palins, Dr. Eleanor Bitsy Comet, Jenny Schoenbaum, Dorothy Miller, Alan Brightman, and Edward H. Robinson. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day as we join together in Kaddish Yatom, rising as one community on page 294. Yitz Gadal v'yitz Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'mei almaya, Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha b'richu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, Amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. It is my honor to invite Dr. Amy Benedict, President of our Board of Trustees, to deliver some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Shabbat. This week, we have a lot to look forward to. If you look under your Temple Beth-El email that came yesterday, you will see that we have a women's Seder coming up and a community Seder. We have lots of other great activities that you can see and sign up for on the website. So go to that email and look at all the wonderful things we have coming up. And I look forward to seeing you all at the Seders and our other terrific events. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Amy. Our closing song is Oseh Shalom. And do you have a page for that? No, but I hope you know it.
Figure people know it.
Come along.
Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei Torah ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma,
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We invite you
Shabbat
to
Shalom.
unmute
Shalom.
yourself and turn on your camera once again. One final time for the
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Enjoy your weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Jamie.
Shabbat
Take care.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Safe, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Bye.
Hey, Michael.
Bye.
Hey, Michael.